And he hit a three in the corner yesterday. It was a huge three. So, like, the problem that they have right now, and it feels like we've been saying this for a long time, is that the role players that you're asking to fulfill that two-guard role are either defensive-oriented or offensive-oriented and not a combination of the two.
I am eager to know who would want Brock Purdy as their starting quarterback if the Niners decided, yeah, we're not going to give you 60. Like Josh Allen, as you just mentioned, he's making 43 this year. Damn. Oh, baby. It's going to be a show. 888-957-9570. Line them up. Light them up. Light them up. I'm in a cranky mood. I'm very, very cranky this morning. I just warn everybody. That loss ticked me the hell off. That I come into the studio, we're talking about some damn golden at bat, and I'm even ticked off even more because these young punks want to change the game of baseball because everything's not good enough, but I'm ticked off. I'm ticked off because the Warriors now, in their last 10 games, are 4-6. Started off 10-2. You're blowing double-digit leads once again. You're up 11 with 6 minutes of change left, and you find a way to lose another basketball game. You saw it against Brooklyn. You saw it against San Antonio. You saw it against OKC, where you couldn't score, couldn't make a basket. You missed 14 straight shots down the stretch, and then last night, you just saw it coming. The end of the first half, you're rolling 54-42. Oh, you're playing beautiful basketball, and boom, Denver goes into halftime on a 15-3 run. 15-3 run, and it's a tie basketball game. But you know what? You're feeling good because Denver has shot the lights out in the first half. And then you get back into the game. The bench plays so well in the beginning of the fourth quarter, scoring 21 points. You go on a 21-6 run to open up the fourth quarter. You open up a lead. The kids are playing well. Potts, Kuminga, Moody showing you flashes, playing desperate. And you lose. You lose. 119-115. You lost 8 straight games to the Denver Nuggets. You lost 11-12 to Denver. You lost 5 in a row overall. So I don't give a damn about the Emirates NBA Cup right now, whether or not you're in a knockout stage. I'm ticked off this morning. I'm damn cranky because I need a damn win in my life. And last night, it's frustrating as hell, man. It is. I'm not gonna do a sugarcoat job this morning. Not gonna do it. But the rhetoric and the dialogue I was looking at last night took it to another level. And I think people are missing the bigger picture, which will get you in a second. But I want to hear from Shasky, man. Good morning.
Can I go? You know what? I'm just give me Spadonis. Fill some time here. I got to get up. I'm going to put my headphones down. Bonta, I think you need a hug. I'm coming over to give you a hug. No, I'm going to give you a hug.
It's not that serious.
I'm going to give you a hug. I don't
need a hug. Get off of me. No, I don't need a hug. I don't need a hug. It's baby Tessa's birthday. I'm fine. I don't need a hug.
I love you. I love you. You're good. We're good. We're going to be okay.
I'm fine.
We're going to be okay.
It's just stick. It's okay.
All right, now I'm angry.
It's okay. Your video is the one. I think you need the hug.
What did I do?
The smile on Bonte's face made that worth it.
Well, exactly.
I don't need a hug.
What did I do?
It's fine.
You do need a hug. What did I do?
I'm fine.
Look, all right, should I just, because I was going to play salt and pepper. If you were going to be salty, I'd be peppery and spicy. But instead,
no, you don't need to do that.
Let's just both be bad cops. So here we go. No, honestly, like the 3-play sequence with Podziemski, he takes a horrific three-pointer. Then he throws a cross-court.
Well, it's a step back over Jokic. Shot clock was running down. I'm not sure what else he was supposed to do in that situation. Shot clock's running down.
Okay, fine. Then he threw a horrific pass into the 10th row. Okay, then he fouls a three-point shooter. And after doing it earlier in the game and getting chastised by Steve Kerr on the floor, Moody was cooking in that game. He comes out. I know you got to go to different guys, and Moody made such a great backdoor pass to GP2, and I'm just flummoxed. I'm just flummoxed with this team. Like Kuminga showed so many flashes in this game, and then late in the game, he tries to give the ball up, and nobody really wants the ball, and he tries to go at Jokic, which I actually commend him for, because someone's got to try to make a play there late in the game, and he just gets blocked going up with it. The Looney foul that wasn't a foul.
It's tough.
No, that was a horrible call because Jamal Murray's out of control, leaning in, baiting to try to get a foul to go to the free throw line because he can't hit Ocean if he fell out of a boat in the middle of the Pacific. And it was a sequence of things that happened late in that game. And then obviously Brown flumming like a fish out of water on the ground. I did too. And then he's calling timeout, and you can see Gordon. Like
it's tough because you don't see the full timeout.
But Gordon is literally like, no, don't call timeout. And Steve Kerr's losing his mind. And you know what? I got originally mad at Steve Kerr, but then I watched his post-game presser and he explained himself. And I was like, you know what? Good on Steve Kerr for blasting the refs. And I know we can always point to the finger at the referees, but I thought there were some very specific calls late in that game and some non-calls that really went against the Warriors in that one. And their own late-game execution, once again, Steph Curry, horrible turnovers.
It felt dumb.
And they missed Draymond.
It was 119. Excuse me. It was 108, 109 and 98.
They lost that game.
You're up 11 with 6 minutes to change that. So even after the Pods foul, so everybody was losing their minds about the sequence, and it wasn't a great sequence.
It just felt very momentum-ish.
I want to remind some people, you're not in that game if Kuminga and Podziemski doesn't show up for the first half.
There's
you're not even in that basketball game.
That was one of his best games in a while.
These kids played hard yesterday.
I agree.
The bigger picture, and let's just be real, and we're going to talk about this game. The Loon foul was terrible because you fouled him out with that call. It was terrible. He had 11 rebounds.
Yeah, he was battling.
Loon's playing some good basketball.
He had some huge offensive rebounds.
Really good basketball right now. And you made Jokic a score. You took down you tried to limit the assists, but they ended up with 32 anyway because what the Warriors were doing was doubling Jokic, and they were doubling off the cutter. They were doubling off the guy making the cut. And Jokic is like, oh, really? I'm going to make the easy pass. You got to change up the schemes.
The Gordon dunk was
my biggest issue, there's a couple things here. We'll get to Steph and Draymond in just a second because there's a long-term picture here that I think people need to be worried about, and we're looking at somebody to blame and use scapegoats or whatnot. The scheme down the stretch. All right. You don't have Kevin Durant anymore. You don't have Klay Thompson in his prime. You don't have a prime Draymond Green. You don't have a prime Stephen Curry. You have some youngsters who are trying to learn how to win in the NBA. Pods, Moody, Kuminga. You have Wiggins back, but somehow, some way, he only shoots 7 times yesterday. I have no idea how that happens. But he was playing some really good defense on Jamal Murray. I think down the stretch, and Moody said it last night on the post-game show, and I've been thinking this for quite some time when you have some youngsters here. Sometimes you have to simplify the game. And when this is a conversation we actually had 2 years ago when they had that 5-game road trip when they lost in Charlotte, Detroit, Miami, Orlando, and then New Orleans. And when you put the kids in the game, sometimes you can't run motion offense to read and react. Sometimes I think it's just good to just run a set and run a play and attack somebody, whether it's Murray, whether it's Jokic, involve them in the ball screen, high pick and roll, I don't know. But sometimes you need to just run a set with these kids. And I get it, Pods is in his second year. Kuminga's in his 4th year. Moody's in his 4th year. They didn't play much in their rookie years. So just running a set down the stretch when you need a bucket, and you need to say, all right, we need to slow down the game. Instead of running read and react, because what happened at the end of the game was just Steph one-on-one. And you can't win like that. And then, or you end up with Gary Payton II shooting a 3, and Gary Payton II played hard yesterday. He was 5-5 up to that point, 11 points.
He hit a huge corner three.
He hit a corner, but also at the same time, he's shooting 17% from 3. So the percentages are not gonna favor him. And so sometimes you just need to run a set. And I think over this 5-game losing streak, whether it's Brooklyn, OKC, San Antonio, Phoenix. Just run a set and get into a play and run a simple play to try to get a good shot. And right now they're not doing that down the stretch. I think that needs to be maybe a tweak. And I'm no coach. Steve Kerr knows a lot more about basketball than I do, but it just looks like just running a set and getting something simple to help this team plays. So anyway, I
think you're wrong.
I think you get outscored you don't even score the last 2.5 minutes. You get outscored 21-6 in the last 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
But just run a set. And I think that would help alleviate a lot of issues down the stretch.
Well, okay. Your point is one that I've been kind of screaming from the mountaintops for, feels like forever. When you have Kyrie or Luka or Kevin Durant, right? Yeah, get the hell out of the way. We're like, let him do his thing. He's going to cook in the half court. In that game yesterday, where it feels like Wiggins hasn't touched the ball on offense for like 5 or 6 possessions, why are you not trying to throw him the ball on the block? Hey, everyone get out of the way. Let's get Curry out on the wing. Let's post up Andrew Wiggins. Let's get him a touch.
What about Kuminga?
Or
Kuminga's having a hell of a game. They have no matchup for him. He's blown by everybody. Run the two-man game with Kuminga.
Well, it felt like that Kuminga went to set a high screen on one possession for Curry, and they tried to do some sort of downhill thing, but to Denver's credit, they kind of stymied him. They know, hey, he's trying to get downhill. And he got caught in no man's land, and the shot clock's winding down, and nobody wanted the ball. That's the other thing. It felt like nobody wanted the ball at that particular point. And when you don't have Draymond out there, you don't have that extra passer, there was just a lot going on. It's a very frustrating game.
Draymond's getting an MRI today.
I'm very worried.
Left calf, and I am too.
I'm very worried.
And there goes my house of prime rib.
I don't care about that.
I know. I'm looking forward to House of Prime Rib because
I might just take you there because you need a hug anyway.
No, I don't need a hug. I'm fine. It's not that. It's actually these are the shows that I'm built for because there's going to be a lot of blowback on everything. I'm built for this.
And
you're doing great.
He almost bit off Loveman's head, me and Spinoni's head.
Well, you guys are talking about the golden at bat. You guys want to tinker again. This is why more fans.
It's the most excited you guys have been about baseball.
No, it's the most passionate because it's just dumb. The game's fine where it is. You just had I would rather be the White Sox. You just had a great World Series. You had a great playoff. You don't need to change anything. Now you want to swap at bats. So you want to just erase the moments of Travis Ishikawa because if the golden at bat existed when Travis Ishikawa played, you'd never get that moment in 2014. But anyway, I digress.
But if 2002 comes around and it's Shinjo DHing in the ninth inning, wouldn't you rather go to Bonds?
Well, no, you should have.
If it's Wilmer Flores check swinging against the Dodgers in Game 5. You should have won
Game 6.
Shouldn't you? God, I'd love to see Posey.
We should go back and forth with this all the time. All the time. So anyway.
Ain't nothing you can do about it.
Ain't nothing you can do about it. But there's a bigger issue. There's a bigger issue with the Golden State Warriors right now. And it has to do with their two stars, Draymond Green and Steph and Curry. Draymond Green is going to receive an MRI today in the Bay Area. Obviously, they flew back last night. I think did they fly back last night?
What is the MRI going to be on?
His left calf. And we're going to find out what it is that is going on. And then if you watch Steph very closely, he was 8 of 23 last night, 4 of 15 from the three-point line. There's some big shots down the stretch. It starts with Steph. Steph's not moving great. The bilateral knee soreness is a problem. And so that's the biggest issue right now with the Golden State Warriors is that their superstars are getting older right in front of our eyes. And when I sit there with Fezzi and I sit there with Bully and watching this league for a long, long time, old guys, you start to see the nagging injuries start to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
The knee soreness, the calf strains, the hamstrings, the foot injuries. Clay's going through it right now. He just returned last night to Dallas after missing some games with plantar fasciitis. This is what happens to older players. LeBron James starting to show his age. And so you could blame the kids. You could talk about the kids all you want to, trying to pick up the slack or whatnot. But the Warriors are going nowhere if their two stars are not healthy. And this is what happens. And so Steph, you can see it. He's not getting by guys as easy as he used to. He's still effective. I mean, the guy dropped a double-double yesterday, 24 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. The shot wasn't falling. The shots come and go. It happens. It's a make-or-miss league. But you look at the movement of Steph and Curry,
he's sluggish.
Slight downtick, and there's a little sluggish
That's
there.
the way I would describe it, sluggish.
And this thing with Draymond Green, yes, hell yeah, it's a concern.
It's alarming.
It's a concern.
So okay. It's clear they need like a youthful or somewhat youthful in his prime stud alongside like Steph Curry. We all agree.
Not even a stud. I don't even think you need a superstar. You see somebody who fits.
Stud doesn't. I don't mean superstar by stud. I'm just saying like a guy who can like take control of the game at times. And I thought Wiggins has been doing some of that at times. He can get a little passive, but he needs another wingman as well. Like so, I guess my frustration. Spinning off of what you're saying, which is like the old guys are getting older. Yeah. And I look at the young guy situation, and it's just perplexing to me. And just allow me to lay this out. I like Podziemski. He brings a lot to the table. But when I zoom out, I'm just baffled. I'm baffled that they have put so much into developing Podziemski at the expense, at times, of situational opportunities to play other players when in the last 3 years they have had zero tolerance for playing Moody, to some degree Wiseman, and Jonathan Kuminga when they've told me for 3 years, based on their rotations and who they've played and who they've chosen to play, like, no, we are chasing wins. We're not developing. Yet in this guy, Podziemski, they're trying to develop him, and it's costing you a couple of wins. Now, he had a good game yesterday overall.
I don't think he cost you the win last night.
I thought that was a huge momentum swing in the moments that he made some mistakes.
It was, but you know what? Kuminga came down and made a dunk. Podziemski got yanked out of the game. Podziemski was yanked out of the game.
As he should have been.
With 5:06 left, 109, 103. The Warriors came down. Kuminga hits a dunk. All right? He hits a dunk. Then you go up 113 and 106 after Curry makes a layup with 4:03 left. So I'm going to push back on Podziemski blew the game.
No.
Blow the game with 5 minutes left. I'm going to push back on that.
No, I just think that there's this. My feeling when he went back in late in the fourth quarter, or whatever it was 8, 9 minutes ago, I'm going like, what are we trying to prove with the Podziemski thing?
Well, he was playing well. He was playing well up until that point. I'm going to defend him on this one. The sequence that he had was awful, and he owned it. And I want to give the young kid credit. He went to that podium after Steve Kerr ripped him at the podium. He went to the podium and said, yes, I played poorly. He owned it. Now, if the overall theme is they put a lot on this guy,
that's kind of my
everything,
point, yes.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
fine.
I also think they're expecting him to do things that he's a backup point guard.
No, I agree. He's a backup point guard.
And I'm not trying to rip him.
But what choice do you have right now with these lineups? You can't start Moody next to Stephen Curry because that's going to put the ball in Stephen Curry's hands, and you got no other playmakers. You got nobody else to dribble drive. You know what I'm saying?
They're in a tough spot.
Moody's a knockdown. He's a shooter. He's not going to make a lot of plays for other guys right now.
But he did make a play for, for example, he did make a play off the dribble for GP2 on a backdoor cut. I just think that there's a I don't know. I'm very perplexed as to what we're trying to accomplish.
But up until that point, look, Podziemski had a terrible sequence. The three-point shot against Jokic, shot clock's running down, whatever. Wiggins and Podziemski runs out on Michael Porter Jr. because they're on Jokic in the post, and they overclosed out. And he fouled the three-point shooter. You can't do that. You cannot do that. The one-hand pass, here's my problem.
Well, Steph does it too, but Steph's a Hall of Famer.
This is my problem with Podziemski, though. He throws the one-hand pass. He throws it into the 10th row. And he's still talking to the ref about this cut that Michael Porter Jr. made to the basket that he feels like he got fouled on. Podziemski has got to stop complaining to the referees. That has to stop. You're doing it way too much. You're chirping too much. But at the same time, I'm looking at Pods, and you know what? Pods is playing okay. He played okay yesterday.
No, he did.
He played okay until that point.
I thought that.
But that sequence is tough. However, you're up 6 in that sequence, and you're able to stabilize the game because you got a great dunk for Kuminga. You went back up 8. You got a great layup for Stephen Curry. You went back up 7, and you were able to stabilize the game. And you know what happened? 113, 106. 3:32 left. Buddy Hield is wide open on the wing.
No doubt.
Wide open.
Oh, my God.
And he missed a three-pointer wide up to go up 10.
And they were cooking him on defense.
Don't tell me. You can call all you want to. 888-957-9570. And you can scream to the high heavens that Podziemski blew that game.
It's not about
I didn't see it like that.
No, it's not about that game.
I didn't see that.
I think it's the overall arc of this is the feeling I have after 2 months this year. Every time Moody goes in, I feel like he's contributing. There's some positives. Right. And there are games where he's clearly cooking. And we're like actively trying to find a way to get him on the bench. Simultaneously, it feels like Podziemski will be struggling at times, and we're actively finding a way to get him going. And that, to me, it's a disconnected thought process. I'm perplexed as to why, one, we have to get going, and the other one, we are looking for reasons to put on the bench.
Well, right now,
I just don't. And I know they have different skill sets. Your point is well taken because what the team needs right now is another ball handler.
They need a ball handler.
I agree with you.
But you know what? You brought up playmaker and stud, and my head goes right away to Jordan Poole. It goes right away to Jordan Poole.
I called Guru last night. I said, I want Jordan Poole back on this team.
You're not getting Jordan Poole back.
I don't follow all of the coverage around the team as heavily as diehard Sharks fans, but we all know the guy is like #1 overall pick and considered by many people to be a phenom, right? Like that's what people say. But I think what you say outwardly as an organization, I do think it's really important. You don't want to put too much on someone, and I think this is a cautionary tale for the San Francisco Giants right now when it comes to Bryce Eldridge. Like, we hyped up Luciano for so long, and he didn't even come close to delivering, and I don't think he'll ever will. When Joe Lacob came out and was talking about Podziemski, I started thinking about what Jed York did with Brock Purdy. Hey, he's going to reset the quarterback market. Like, you just don't need to say that. I just think you're putting things into the ethos that are unnecessary in terms of expectations for your own player. The games are hard enough. Being a professional and being an elite professional, it is so difficult. And I think for a lot of these young people, less is more. And when your owner is coming out and saying certain things, I know their intention is not to put more on their plate. They're just like genuinely excited for the player. But I think what's really difficult for Warrior fans to grasp is that there's a lot of speculation about trades that woulda, coulda, shoulda been made, whether real or not. They think that Pods was a sticking point in deals, which I think that's
I would tell you that it wasn't.
Okay, but you get where I'm going.
It wasn't a sticking point.
But people assume they are, and then they hear the owner say, we think he can be an all-star, and he's playing on the USA rookie team that goes up against the other team, and it's like, we're putting a lot on this guy's plate, and then he comes out and he's got a flat couple of months, and I feel bad for the guy. I do. I feel bad because I feel like the expectations are out of whack.
Not to mention, too, Cooper Flagg coming out saying it was my favorite teammate down there in Las Vegas.
It's a lot.
That's Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the deals that you're talking about, the Utah Jazz, Lowry marketed, where some people deemed it, Pods was deemed untouchable. Well, Danny Ainge, from what I know and what I gathered, and you could take me for my word or not, but from what I've gathered, is that Utah wanted a boatload of picks. Mm-hmm. And right now the Warriors are like, let's chill a little bit.
Yeah.
I could give you a bunch of first-round picks and pick swaps for Lowry marketing and these assets. Danny Ainge was doing too much. So don't buy the hype. I don't think anybody, when you have Steph Curry and he's trying to win that fifth ring as Nick and San Jose wants, and everybody else wants Steph to win this fifth ring, and we all want it. We all want the Warriors to win. I don't think anything is untouchable in the NBA. The only untouchable really on this Warriors team, I think, is Steph Curry and probably Draymond Green. That's it.
But you can see, and I'm expressing my empathy toward Podziemski because a lot of these things are out of his control. He can't control what other people are saying about him and all that. And what I'm saying is I do believe he's become a lightning rod for the fans. And I know at times that I'm questioning, man, what? I know they have a reason why they want to play him. And they know more about basketball than me. And they want to get that other ball handler out there. I just think that they're expecting him to fulfill a role that I don't think he's good enough to fulfill.
What role is that?
Well, to me, playing him, and I know he's starting at the 2, but he's kind of like the pseudo point guard. I don't think right now he's knocking down shots and honoring the spacing that's required. Right. Even though he fulfills the ball handling requirement that they're looking for, I don't think he's fulfilling the spacing requirement of knocking down shots. Simultaneously, defensively, I don't think he's that good.
No.
Right there as an individual defender. And I think defense opposite Steph Curry is as important as that ball handler is. And I know that Steph's injury right now is making this highlighted because he's not as good and he can't move as well. And so this is all coming to a head here. And then I think overarching, and I'm long-winded and I apologize, but overarching, it's hold up, man. You guys are giving this guy this long freeway, and this is just my casual opinion. Podziemski's getting this long freeway, yet any moment Moody or Kuminga has made a mistake, it's go right back to the bench. You're not good enough. We don't think you can do X, Y, and Z. Whereas I'm watching Podziemski, I'm like, why is he giving this long leeway? So it's just there's a disconnect, and I think that creates more frustration for Warrior fans. And then the team's losing.
Well, I would push back on the leeway a little bit because we did see Podziemski. He had a stretch here. Started with Dallas where he played 17 minutes. Plays 28 against Memphis. All right, cool. Then he goes back down to 16 against the Clippers down in L.A. Then he only gets 15 minutes against the Atlanta Hawks in a blowout win. 15 minutes in a blowout win. Gets 21 against the Pelicans. Gets 16 against the Spurs. All right, now he gets bumped up to 23 against Brooklyn, and he was part of the lineup that kind of blew that lead, right? Now he went back up to 30 against OKC. And you had trouble against OKC. Obviously, you didn't have Stephen Curry in that basketball game. So I think the minutes has fluctuated a little bit as Steve Kerr tries to find the right combination. But it just feels like for the fans, all that talk in the offseason about Podziemski, because you may have a Moody stance. And a lot of Moody stands, and I say stands because there's a lot of people who just want Moody to play. And I get Moody wants to play. And he played desperate yesterday, and I think he does deserve some minutes here. There's no way Moody should play 3 minutes against Phoenix and watch Pat Spencer get 9 minutes.
In year 4.
No disrespect towards Pat Spencer, but there's no way Moody should have to look up and see, damn, I'm only getting 3 minutes and Pat's getting 9? What the hell is going on around here? What can I do to play? And Kuminga's had those conversations with Steve Kerr. What can I do to play? What can I do to stay on the court? Now, Kuminga playing the 4 yesterday opened my eyes up a little bit.
No, I thought he was
able
great.
to attack.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Podziemski, look, as much as polarizing as he is, I'll give the young man credit. I watched Deebo Samuel. I don't even know. Did Deebo talk after the Buffalo game?
I don't know.
I don't think Deebo talked after the Buffalo game. Well, I watched Deebo Samuel decline questions after the Green Bay game. He's one of the captains on the football team. Well, George Kittle went to the podium. Mm-hmm. Fred Warner goes to the podium. Brock Purdy's going to the podium. Deebo Samuel didn't. Now, I look at the Golden State Warriors, and Pods, you may say you don't want to hear from him, but last night he owned it. He owned it last night, which I give the second-year pro some credit for.
I mean, I agree. I played poorly defensively. I think there was just a point defensively where I was just kind of pressing too much and trying too hard. You know, I think one of the turnovers I had where I threw it to Trace, I could have bounced it to him earlier. The other one to Wiggs just kind of slipped out of my hands when I was throwing it. Like I said, I think I was just trying too hard to defensively just kind of stick with Michael Porter and end up fouling him twice. You know, definitely not like me and definitely, you know, something I'm not proud of. And I know, you know, when they kind of made their runs, it was because of me either fouling or turning the ball over. So I know I'm going to be better. I know I'm going to be better. And, you know, it just sucks we didn't win.
Now, here's Kerr. Here's Kerr about Pods. And I didn't see this coming because he was hot about Christian Brown, and we didn't even get it to the timeout or the walk at the end of the game. But I felt like the game was over at the point. However, if he does call that timeout and the referee says, you know what, you called a timeout, you don't have any timeouts, it's a technical foul for the Golden State Warriors, a free throw, and possession of the basketball.
You never know.
So you never know what could happen. But here's Kerr after the game about Brandon Podziemski.
So Pod's a hell of a player, but he needs to, and I've told him this, he needs to be a smart player. You know, he's one of our guys who's capable of making really good decisions. He had a lob when we were up 12 in the late second quarter that was frankly insane. It's a 5-on-4, and you just keep hitting singles, throw the ball to the open guy. He had the same play last week against Brooklyn where he tried to throw a lob over his shoulder. He cannot be that guy, you know, and he can't foul jump shooters. So I love Brandon. He's a hell of a player. He's got a hell of a future ahead of him. But I hope he watches this clip right now of me talking because he needs to hear it. He's got to be a smart, tough, great decision maker, and he's very capable of it, but that's his next step.
That's his next step, and Kerr ripped him. So what about the sideline interaction with Steve Kerr? Here's what Pod said about that.
Nah, he was just like, if you didn't foul him, let me know. If you did, you know, let me know that as well. But it was more so he was just kind of getting on me to do my job, know what I'm supposed to be doing out there. And he's like, if you can't do your job, I'm going to pull you out. And I think, you know, I followed it up with a floater, a drive kick swing to Wiggs for a wing three, and then a pull-up jump shot. And so he just got on me a little bit, which, you know, I'm all for. I'm trying to get better. He knows he can get on me, and I'm not going to, you know, respond emotionally, and I'm just going to go out there and hoop. And, you know, amidst the bad things that, you know, are glaring because we lost, I think me and the guys, we did a lot of great things tonight. I think Moses was great. GP was great. And so we're going to need that, especially, you know, playing the same team two times.
So I think that's a telling statement right there. Like, and the reason why I believe it's super polarizing is because people are seeing it, a lot of people are seeing it through the Kuminga Moody lens, which is like, well, hold up. You're letting this guy play through his mistakes. Well, how come you didn't let the other guys play through their mistakes? And just big picture, I think, whether we think that's fair or not, that's the impression that I think it that is delivered to a lot of Warrior fans. And
I hear that.
I guess my counter would be like, these other guys play different positions, and so you've been a little more, you know, log jammed at those positions, and he fulfills a different requirement. Right. But I do understand, I understand the Warrior fan frustration of why does this guy get leeway and these other guys didn't? Like, right. I do get that.
You just mentioned it. Log jam. Steve Kerr believes Jonathan Kuminga's a 4. Draymond Green believes he's a 3. Now, from my eyes, I see Kuminga's a guy who needs to get downhill. Why was Kuminga so good last night? We only took 2 3-point attempts.
Yep.
And guess what? The Warriors, they committed 8 turnovers in that third quarter, 15 overall, after playing a clean game for the most part in the first half. And then all of a sudden they go up 54-42 and they commit 4 turnovers. Boom, 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 boom. And Denver ends the half on a 15-3 run. That one drove me crazy. That would probably drive me more crazy than what happened with Pods in that sequence. But Kuminga, no turnovers last night. I saw growth. But also, He was 0 for 2 from the free throw line, and I think that kind of impacted his aggressiveness because he hasn't been hitting his free throws. So, look, Kuminga may be a 4 next to Wiggins. That's the rat on the table.
I love that, though.
That's the rat on the table. So what do?
Well, what you do is you do the best you can for as long as Draymond's out. This gives him a silver lining opportunity, similar to how Draymond got his start when David Lee got hurt. Like, I think this is moving forward. Kuminga needs to seize the moment.
No doubt.
That's what I would tell Jonathan Kuminga. Continue to play the way you did. And you know what? I know people are going to be mad that Jokic blocked his shot at the end of the game. He wanted to take the shot. I'm okay with it. I really am. I think I want to see this guy take a leap forward.
But also, he has tried to seize the moment over the last couple of years, and it feels like when Wiggins gets back, and all of a sudden, he's ostracized back to the bench or a limited role here. So because Kerr trusts these veterans. Now, when it comes to Moses Moody, by the way, last segment was sponsored by Golden State, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit GoldenStateLumber.com. You are listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM, and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station, always live on the free Odyssey app. Moses Moody's interesting because I know a lot of people are going to say just start Moody at the 2 spot. Here's my pushback on that. If Draymond Green's not playing, if he's not playing, who's going to set up the half-court offense outside of Steph and Curry? Because now the problem with Steph and Curry is, how much do you want to put on his plate with bilateral knee soreness? They're going to wear this dude down.
Well, what if we asked – I'm being dead serious here. What if we asked Steph to kind of evolve his game to be more of a pass-first point guard and fit the like if he can't carry the load scoring-wise, don't you think that – and I'm not saying that he doesn't want to keep shooting. Of course you want him to keep shooting. But – Moody is clearly a guy that can knock down a 3. Maybe there's some slight evolution to the way Steph plays. I'm just asking out loud.
Maybe
that's an absurd thing to even suggest.
Maybe, but you look at Moody's game logs here, he was in a rut. This is his – now, granted, he only got 3 minutes against Phoenix, and he goes 6 or 7 in the first half against Brooklyn, gets 1 shot in the second half. I don't know what's going on with that. Doesn't make much sense to me. But his 3-point shot was a little off. It was a little off. So I don't know what you do here. You may have to try anything. You bring Paz back as a reserve. I don't really care. Here's the problem. Here's the issue. Or not even an issue. Everybody's going to see 24 to 28 minutes. So everybody's going to play. Whether you start, that's why I keep telling you guys, it doesn't matter who's in the first 5, who's coming off the bench. They're all going to see minutes. Buddy Hield saw 21 minutes. Did Buddy Hield deserve 4th quarter minutes last night?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
But he got
because I don't hear nobody talk about Buddy Hield around here no more.
Well, I mean, he's also playing off the bench.
He is playing off the bench, but so, we were popping champagne for Buddy. He's struggling right now. There's no doubt about that. I'm not even trying to come down Buddy's road.
No, he has to hit that shot.
He's been struggling after those first 10 games.
Also, it's funny. I think we're coming on. They've wanted to play a certain way for long stretches for years now, right? On long stretches of each game.
That's it.
And to me, hey guys, the personnel, especially with Draymond out, with a hobbled Steph, maybe now I'm not saying you completely abandon the read and react and the motion offense, but Bonta, it's the proof is in the pudding. We've got to adjust the way we play a little.
No doubt. I agree.
We have to. It doesn't mean you want to take away the freedom.
No, I agree. Last 5 minutes, you got to run some sets.
But even throughout the majority of the game, maybe I'm running more things to get Kuminga going early in games.
There's no doubt.
And I would run more post-ups for Wiggins. To me, Wiggins cannot come back into that game in the 4th quarter and feel like he's not getting predetermined sets to get him good looks. He's a mismatch.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Oscar and Stockton. Oscar, what's happening?
Oh, what's going on, fellas? Man, okay. I remember I called. I was going to go off the first 20 games. And, like I say, injuries messed up because our 2-guard position. We still haven't found nobody to fulfill that position. And like I was saying earlier, it's going to be hard to. But getting back to the youngsters and Pods played well, but sometimes Pods get out of control, just like Shasky said. He started talking to the referees too much. And he got to stop that. And that's taking him off his game. And, Moses Moody has to be the starting 2-guard, man. We have to go with Moses Moody starting 2-guard and bring Buddy Hield off of that. Steph Curry has to have somebody out there that the defense fears too. If not, they're going to always rush Steph off the 3-point line. That's why Steph's knees is like that, because if you see him, he's getting hand checked. He's running around the court, and he doesn't have the right personnel out there to see him running off the second and third screen. That's why when Kuminga did it last night, he applauded him. Because Steph is running off the screen, he'd be wide open, and guess what? They end up shooting the ball. And, that's what the problem come in at. And you need a secondary shooter on the court that the defense respect at all times.
So who's that secondary scorer? Who's that secondary scorer? Because I think Wiggins has done well. Here's the problem. Here's the problem, Oscar, that we don't want to admit. Steph Curry is down to 22 points a game. He's not dropping 26, 27.
Shooting the lowest in 11 years.
So that's where it starts. That's where it starts, Oscar. Steph's, and he's banged up right now, man. He's averaging 22.6 right now. Now, I could get on the heater and bump that up to 25, 26, but he's also 36 years old, Oscar.
Okay, but if you watch the game, Steph has not been selfish like that. Steph hasn't been selfish like that. He's been getting everybody into the game.
He has. Also, but he was 8 for 23 as well last night.
And he had a bad turnover.
Yeah, he had 5 turnovers last night.
Yeah, some bad
exactly.
ones.
But you got to understand. But he also has the gravity of the defense.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Of course.
He's creating so many double teams and creating so many open shots for his teammates. I do not disagree with that whatsoever. The gravity of Steph does work. But on the flip side, he was also 4-15 last night.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to crush Curry. I love Curry. I homer it up for Curry all day long. He's one of the few guys in my career that I have a hard time being critical of. I just do, because he's that great. But it is what it is last night. He's 8 for 23 at 4 for 15. He has bilateral knee tendonitis. And so you try to manage his minutes the first couple games. And wow, you know what? He's played 34 minutes last night. And it's like, dude, we're going to wear this guy out. We're going to wear him out, which is why Kerr tried to manage his minutes so well early on. Yep. So now, if you do start Moody next to him, what does it look like? What does it look like? I have no idea. I don't think we're so fixated on who starts and who doesn't. The last 5 minutes of the damn basketball game, you're blowing games.
That game was decided in the fourth quarter.
So
was it not?
Yes.
The last how many games have been decided in the fourth quarter?
San Antonio.
Exactly.
And even the warning signs were there in New Orleans on a Friday night when you almost blew that game.
Oh, my God.
Guess what? You almost blew a 31-point lead against Houston. You almost blew a 30-point lead against OKC. So the final 5 minutes are doing the Warriors in. It ain't about starting. We're so fixated who's the first. Starting lineup played well yesterday. Starting lineup played well. They got to a great start yesterday. They were going back and forth with Denver. Back and forth. 33-31 game after the first quarter. So was the starters a problem yesterday? No. Was the starters a problem in the second quarter? No. The last 5 minutes of the game, you're blowing it. And guess who wasn't in the game in the last 5 minutes? Brandon Podziemski. He wasn't playing in the last 5 minutes. Robin San Bruno, what's up?
What's going on? Bonta, I'm proud of you, Bonta. I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
You finally admitted it. I know you're the biggest Steph Curry fan around, but we got to say it. Ever since Clay came back for that game, Curry shot all his rocks. He ain't been the same. I ain't never seen Curry that animated ever. You know what I'm saying? I just think for people the Warriors trying to play a style of play that the whole league is playing now. The thing is, they don't got a bunch of bucket getters. They can go on one in a quarter or a half and shoot these threes, but come the fourth quarter, they breaks now. So other teams getting back into the game. I think the Warriors blowing leads is a league thing. It's not really a Warrior thing. It's the style of play. They're consistently shooting threes up 20. Back in the day, you go up 20, you slow the game down, get some inside shots, layups, free throws, move the clock. But they're consistently going up the floor shooting threes up 20. So, of course, you're going to have a comeback. If Curry's that guy y'all say he is, he got to close that game out. Curry was taking 30-footers off the bounce. He did that 3 or 4 times. And then Pies, look, he's an average basketball player. He's slightly better than Bronny, all right? He's not that good.
I was working on the show last night, too. We were trying to figure out how the hell did they blow that one. How did they blow that game? Gosh. What a loss last night to the Denver Nuggets. It was a hell of a basketball game. TNT, NBC Sports Bay Area, it was high-level hoops. And just for a second, because I know some people think watching Joker is boring, Nikola Jokic. To me, there's nothing boring about his game. I love watching him play. 38 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 14 to 24. How about the mid-range jumper when he faked out Steph Curry with a pass? Steph walks around. He's wide open for the mid-range, gets a little soft touch around the rim. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. You see why he's a 3-time MVP. He is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
He's amazing. And the way Gordon has learned to play off him, to me, is one of the more special things to witness. Gordon's really evolved his game since joining Denver. I didn't know he was this rugged. I mean, he's proven it multiple years in a row, but his ability to dump the ball into the block and then cut to the hoop, and Jokic is like, oh, y'all are going to just double team me? Let me make a quick little pass on the cutter. You know, it's just such a great, beautiful IQ to watch that team play. And now they got that shooter alongside of them. Like, they're a very nice team.
No, they're a nice team. They need a bench. They need a bench.
No doubt.
But I don't know if they're a championship team. I don't know if they have enough because Murray's got to get right.
No doubt. But Brown's been more efficient, though.
Christian Brown's shooting 47% from three this year.
I'm blown away.
That? Averaging 16.
His body looks incredible, too. He's
a
really
winning
dedicated himself to
he's
his
a
body.
winning player.
He's
National championship
player,
at Kansas, NBA champ. Michael Porter Jr. is actually averaging 18 and 9 this year.
But he's got length.
Playing better.
He's bigger. He's bigger than you think. No, they're a very good team. But, like, just 1 second. I know we want to get to the calls and everything. The yellow floor. Presenting the way it did on TV. I'm okay with them doing crazy things on the floor. I'm okay with that. But, like, you have to also think about visually what it looks like. I was getting a headache. Maybe I'm alone in this. I was getting a headache looking at the floor. And I'm not trying to be the old guy, you know, like, I get it. You're trying to do different things, but it was really tough to visually watch.
It was a hard court.
So am I tripping?
No, when it first popped on, I had to squint my eyes a couple times, and I was just thinking to myself, boy, can we turn the contrast down or the brightness or what's going on here? But that's Ball Arena. That's their court for the Emirates NBA Cup over there at Ball Arena. I want to play this pod sound one more time because I have a thought. Now it just kind of popped up to me during the break here. Kerr after the game. After the Warriors blow another double-digit lead, they're up 11, 109-98, and Denver ends up outscoring them down the stretch 21-6 over the last 6 minutes change. That's what Kerr had to say about Brandon Podziemski as he was running red hot. He was hot about the Christian Brown play, in which he thought he called a timeout. And if he did call a timeout, Denver didn't have a timeout, which therefore the Warriors would have received a technical foul and possession of the basketball. But the ref, the little guy, what's his name, Tyler Floyd, he was just clueless. I mean, he called a jump ball. It was barely a jump ball. I mean, Tyler Ford was just...
Stop.
Some of these guys...
Your height discrimination bugs me.
No. Tyler Ford, the little guy, he's clueless out there. I mean, you want to hear Ime Udoka last night? Here's Ime Udoka. They got jobbed in Sacramento. Listen to Ime Udoka.
Wasn't too happy about the officiating there. What was going on? What did you see out there on the floor that you was disappointed?
Missed calls, blatant missed calls right in front of you. You know, you're calling ticky-tack, moving screens, and little shit like that, and then you don't want to call the obvious ones right in front of you. So that was it. Alpi got fouled a few times on that drive and on the layup, and they don't want to call it. And so I'm get some glasses, open your eyes.
Do away with the NBA officials looking into the camera. Too much camera time. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you.
Bonta, not only is Ime Udoka upset about the refs, check out the alternate final call of one Tim Roy last night and what he had to say about the refs last night.
Curry gets the ball, buzzer sounds, can't get the shot off, and this game's over. And Steve Kerr is all over Travis Ford. He was trying to call a timeout. Again, Travis Ford's a crew chief, but in my opinion, he does not have a great feel for the game. Technically, I think he's probably proficient enough, but more than often, this is the type of what happens at the end of a close game when the Warriors have had him as a crew chief.
He's too professional and classy to just come out and say it. He sucked last night.
Yeah, well, he always sucks. And this Tim Roy didn't even want to get his name right. It's Tyler Ford.
Exactly.
Not Travis. We could look at his referee bio, but he's right. Tyler Ford stinks.
I like vacationing in the Caymans. I mean, I have a place in Southampton.
I mean,
Shawshank Redemption.
You know, Bonta, this is the problem. Like, so, for example, there was a play last night where Jamal Murray he's going to the hoop. And for over a decade, they have rewarded out-of-control drives to the hoop. Yeah. It started with Harden. And look, is Steph guilty at times of kicking his legs out? Absolutely. This is not like, oh, the Warriors are the only team that doesn't do this. No, every team does it. But they have adjudicated the game where they have given the offense all of the leeway. You can't play defense in the NBA. It's ridiculous. And in that particular play, Looney, and I don't care about the circle. I don't care. He's standing, he's defending the shot. He's contesting the shot without giving body contact. Jamal Murray is out of control. And he's falling to the ground, flailing, throwing up garbage, begging to get a bailout call.
He initiated the contact with Kevon Looney.
It's a no call.
And Fitz made a great point on the broadcast. whenever Looney complains, you know it's legit because Looney never complains. And it was a huge foul because Looney ended up fouling out.
And he got two free throws on a play he was going to smoke a layup on.
So, exactly. You get the 2 free throws. You cut the lead to 2. Not only that, you lose not only one of your best defenders on the team, but you lose your best screener on the team.
Good point.
To free up Steph and Curry or free up anybody on the offensive end. So, blow it right there with that. It was a terrible call. I just come out flat out say it. I watched it over and over and over again. It was a bad call.
Well, he's like lunging, falling down, and the knees are going. It's to me, again, this is not that singular play. That's a decade worth of horrific officiating leading into that play being accepted. And then they challenged it, and they're like, yeah, it's going to stand. I'm like, what are we doing? You watched that play again. Well, you watched that play again, and you allowed that to continue to be a foul.
Did you hear Fitz?
He goes, they
blew the call twice. They blew it during the action and after the action.
Yeah, he's right.
But I want to get back to Pods for a second here because a lot of people want to talk Pods. Bud in Oakland, Coach, getting to you in just 1 second here. It sounds like
loser talk when we talk about the refs, but in that, that play was wrong.
No, the refs didn't blow the game. The Warriors have to hold themselves accountable. The Warriors blew the game. The referees did not blow. Did they make bad calls? Yes, they make bad calls every game. But you control what you control.
We agree.
And you had an 11-point lead, and you got outscored 21-6 in the last 6 minutes of change, and it ticks me off. I want to hear about Draymond real quick. I want to hear about Draymond's injury because he missed last night's game. First game of the season, and trust me, we got to bet with House of Prime Rib, and I'm counting down. I'm like, oh boy,
the bet's
I know. I look, we're gonna have fun at House of Prime Rib. Aren't we bringing these 2 jokers too?
Of course.
We lumped ourselves on this, so you guys have to bring us too.
We're splitting the bill.
It's also easier to get a table when there's more people, right?
Yeah. 40-60, you guys 60, me 40.
No. That'll be our Christmas present.
Just 2 drink a minimum, okay, or maximum.
They have good cocktails there.
What do you think?
Well, the sound's on your board now, Bonta. So there you go, bottom right.
Bottom right. All right. Draymond Green with Baron Davis. Draymond Green's show. And Draymond Green, Steve Kerr said he was doubtful. And I was looking at the news report. I was like, well, it says questionable. And we're going to switch to pivot in a second to Mike Florio, what he had to say about Kyle Sheddick, because that's going to open up another can. You know what? Draymond Green left calf soreness. And, missing the game. I'm like, maybe this is maintenance. Maybe this is load management. Well, Draymond Green on the Draymond Green show had to say this about his calf.
Over the last few games, I've been a bit beat up, but still feeling healthy enough to get out there on the floor and try to help my team. I started to get this calf tightening in my left calf. In 2022, leading up to me missing those 3 months, there was games of like, my left glute's really tight, and loosen up a little bit and then come right back. I'm just like, oh, that's a symptom because I've been playing games and I didn't know what I was up against. So this time, some of the symptoms that I felt, I'm able to better navigate and knowing like, all right, you felt this, you may need to slow down. I'll be 100% honest. I'm a little afraid. But in saying that, I have confidence in our staff. I have confidence that I'm getting ahead of it right now because the smart thing to do is to catch it right now while I'm already getting these symptoms. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I think about athlete longevity a lot.
By the way, real quick, MRI today for Draymond Green.
I think about athlete longevity a lot. Like, remember back in the day, the conversation, who would you give the long-term contract to, Matt Cain or Tim Lincecum? Mm-hmm. And they both almost ended up fizzling out for a variety of reasons at the same time. It felt like the elbow for Cain and the hip and velo and everything for Lincecum. And I'm looking at like Draymond and Clay and Steph and who's going to wear and tear, who's going to age better. And we're talking about, like, Father Time's undefeated. Very few pull off the LeBron, I'm better in my late 30s than I was at any other point in my career because I'm more efficient and smarter and I pick and choose my spots better.
Tom Brady.
Exactly. Most people fall apart.
Drew Brees fell apart.
Peyton Manning was replaced and then had to get the starting job back because the other guy that replaced him played worse than he did.
Aaron Rodgers this year.
Aaron Rodgers, terrible. Yeah. You said Drew Brees. I mean, all of them, like, horrible. So, like, I'm looking at Draymond, it's like, yeah, thinking that a 35-year-old Draymond who's been banging against guys who are 60 pounds and 7-8 inches sometimes taller than him, like...
Hashtag pause. Is that why you laugh at Spinoni? Oh.
But, like, when you do that for a decade, yeah, it's going to catch up.
Yeah.
No, it just is.
You're right. And even with Steph, with all the movement skills, knee soreness, and they say that's something that's going to linger. Dr. Brian Feely joined us yesterday. Now, was he worried about Draymond? I don't even remember because this has been a whirlwind 24 hours after that game.
He said he'd be shocked if it wasn't at least a couple weeks.
The only thing I remember is him telling me that it was okay to work out.
Well,
for me.
Of course.
Which I did.
I'm looking at the next 2 weeks. If Draymond's out the next 2 weeks, I'll just read off the games coming up through the end of the year. Houston on Thursday, they're 15-7.
God, for the cup.
Well, this one's not for the cup. This one's just to get a win.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the other one's for the cup.
And then you get back-to-back games against the Minnesota Timberwolves at home.
Julius Randle.
Nas Reed.
I just love Nas Reed so
Dante
much.
DiVincenzo. Then you get
I would take Dante DiVincenzo back in a heartbeat. Continue.
Houston Rockets for the cup. Wednesday. Then, oh, wow, I don't have to work Monday, Tuesday. God, that's a good day.
The Rockets coming out to play.
And then you get the Memphis Grizzlies, December 19th. Now, we don't know who they're going to play after the Cup games. We'll see about that. But Memphis, Minnesota, again, you got Minnesota 3 times in the next 5. It's unbelievable. Schedule makers. Indiana Pacers, Lakers on Christmas, Clippers in L.A. You've already lost 2 to them. Phoenix, Saturday, December 28th, and then you end the year with Cleveland. And oh, by the way, Philadelphia's playing better, so you host them January 2nd, then you get Memphis January 4th, then you got the Kings on the back-to-back January 5th, and then you get the Miami Heat and Heat culture. So you get what I'm saying
Miami Heat and Heat cultures, they lose by a zillion the other day.
But they always win at Chase Center for some reason. They always seem to beat the Warriors. I don't know why. It's always a tough game against Miami. But Draymond Green missing 2 weeks, boy. Oh, man.
How many games over the next 2 weeks?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8
9,
games.
10. Yeah, 8 games. Could be 9.
Could be
10.
9. Ugh.
Could be 10 if they
So
go to
that'll be
Vegas.
a total of 10.
They're 12-8 right now.
So
how bad do you want that NBA Cup?
So he would have to play every other game the rest of the year to get to 72. So if he misses 2 weeks in the 9 games,
that puts you in a good.
Oh boy, I'd be sitting pretty.
I'm having a hard time thinking he's not going to get beat up for the NBA Cup. Like that's a do or die scenario. He's got to be ready for that. Well, I can't even say it without
especially to one up his boy LeBron.
That's right. Like that's right.
Just to make sure that Clutch wins the first 2 of the Emirates Cups.
And by the way, dealing with Ime Udoka and Dylan Brooks was getting into it with De'Aaron Fox yesterday. So you got to deal with that joker on Thursday and Wednesday. Damn. This is becoming a nightmare for me. This is why the sports guys? Why? I feel like you're looking at me, not anybody else but me. All right, maybe I'm losing it here. I am losing it. This is a great start. 12-3. They lost 5 in a row.
You know? I mean, like the Warriors, your best friend Draymond.
Yeah.
Your other favorite player of all time, Brock Purdy's struggling right now. Your favorite coach, Kyle Shanahan, is under scrutiny. Like your White Sox might trade Luis Robert.
Well,
the Golden at bat might get
I told you
introduced.
the Giants need to go get Luis Robert. I told you that last year. You go get Robert. Go get him. Go save him from the White Sox.
Your other team, the Yankees, might lose Soto. Like this is a tough week for you.
My Yankees, my Orioles got bounced early. You know, my Pittsburgh Steelers are playing well though.
You're like Snoop. You've got so many teams I can't keep up.
I've always liked the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Russell Wilson, I'm telling you, you'd rather have Russell Wilson than Aaron Rodgers right now, as we had that conversation about aging out. All right.
For the Niners.
We're going to play the Florio sound in just a second, but let's pregame Brian and Palo Alto. I'm just going to turn my mic off. I'm going to let Brian cook.
What's up,
Brian, the floor is yours.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Still 2 timelines, Shasky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty dirty, in my opinion, what Lakeup's done to Steph. No other all-time top 5 greatest player ever has an ownership group this uncommitted to helping him, and he has no help. And Pods and JK are not guys that you just cannot count on them. And obviously, I'm surprised Pods has taken such a big step back in year 2, but Eric Pascal had a pretty good rookie year too. So, it's unfortunate. The Melton injury is unfortunate, but they can't keep, doing the boy who cried wolf around the 49ers are interested in such and such player. They're going to have to go do a deal, make a deal, or they're going to have to choose a timeline. If the timeline is we choose Pods and JK, okay, put your money where your mouth is, ship everybody else out, and let it ride on Pods. But guess what? No one's buying it at this point. Did you see his nickname on Twitter is Jack Harlow? I don't know if you saw that, but interesting. But not good. That's my take.
Hey, BPA, honest to gosh, would you take a reunion with Jordan Poole back? Because I would in a heartbeat.
Oh God! But if we had Chris Paul's salary slot, which we let expire into nothing, So, anyways, yeah, help him out, Joe. Help Steph, Joe. All right, have a good day, guys.
Steve Kerr on Pods.
So Pod's a hell of a player, but he needs to, and I've told him this, he needs to be a smart player. He's one of our guys who's capable of making really good decisions. He had a lob when we were up 12 in the late second quarter that was frankly insane. It's a 5-on-4. You just keep hitting singles, throw the ball to the open guy. He had the same play last week against Brooklyn where he tried to throw a lob over his shoulder. He cannot be that guy. And he can't foul jump shooters. So I love Brandon. He's a hell of a player. He's got a hell of a future ahead of him. But I hope he watches this clip right now of me talking because he needs to hear it. He's got to be a smart, tough, great decision maker, and he's very capable of it, but that's his next step.
One of the worst things you can do when you're closing out on a shooter is overcommit, leave your feet, get up in the air. There's a variety. And there's times where Pods is not the only one. This team will close out on someone way too far away from the three-point line where that guy is just going to pump fake and go right by you. And now the whole defense is in scramble mode and you're not unable to get back on into a good defensive position. And then simultaneously, when you leave your feet, going back to the offense has all the rules, like you're just allowing 3-point and 4-point play opportunities over and over and over again. And when a team doesn't have as many possessions as a Denver team with the way they play, letting them get to the free throw line is crushing. It really is, because you're slowing the pace down even more and allowing guys who maybe aren't hitting like a Jamal Murray to hit a couple of shots. It bugs me.
But I want to go back to something about the quote. I think there's something deeper here. And I think Steve Kerr, and let's talk about this with the fellas, and the more and more I hear that cut about Pods, Steve Kerr knows he can do that with Brendan Podziemski. It's about understanding your personnel. There's certain guys you could rip, and there's certain guys you can't rip. And what if he does that with Moses Moody? How does he respond? I think Moses Moody responds well. That's who he is. But if he does that with Jonathan Kuminga, how does he respond? I don't know. I don't know how certain guys respond to certain situations. But I think Steve Kerr knows that if I lay into Pods right now, he's going to respond in a positive way. That's how he's built. Now, I'm not saying he's the greatest NBA player in the world. I'm not saying he's an all-star. I'm not doing any of that. And he didn't play the last 5 minutes. Again, Steve Kerr, you look at his game logs, Brendan Podziemski is 16 minutes, is 17 minutes. Okay, there's 30, there's 15, there's 20. It's been all over the place with Brendan Podziemski. Steve Kerr's quietly, even though we don't see it because he's so polarizing, he's yo-yoed his minutes as well, just like J.K. and Moses Moody. Not to the extent of Moses Moody, but he has yo-yoed his minutes. But I think Steve Kerr knows that if I lay into this guy, I could get this message to him, and he'll watch the clip, and he may understand it. But I know I can do that with Brandon because he's gonna respond in a positive way. And you know what? 30 minutes later, Paz walked up to the podium, and he owned it. So I think there's something deeper there with Steve Kerr with that message to Brendan Podziemski. And I think he knows that he can handle it. You coach a lot of times. Well, there's certain guys you can talk to in a certain way, and there's certain guys you can, hey, I got to hug you. Certain guys, I'm ripping them because I know they can handle it.
The Pete Rose, right? Look, everyone has their feeling on Pete Rose, but he is spot on. And he learned this, Sparky Anderson. There's 3 ways to coach, and it depends on the personality. Kick him in the pants, put your arm around him, say nothing to him. It's up to you as a great coach to figure out what personality you're dealing with and how to get to that person, right? There are some guys you don't have to say anything to. Some guys you got to get in their face. Other guys you got to hype up. It depends where they're at. And some guys are all over the place, and depending on where they're at in their career or in their personal life or whatever, that's how you got to do it. So, I don't know. Your point is well taken. But here's what I would say. I will find out if that message is delivered by how he plays moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. We'll see it. It's going to be a grind. 20 games in. Now you're playing the Rockets, an athletic team that is hellacious defensively. Let's go to the lines, man. Let's get to Bud, and then we'll get to Coach. We got Gary. Bud in Oakland. What's happening, Bud? Good morning.
Hey, happy birthday to ya. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, man. You know, to the people who's questioning Pod's playing time and stuff, you know, if you ever played sports, if you ever watched sports, and you don't really have to question that. It's obvious. He's on the ball. He's a guy that you can put on the ball. You know, we don't have anybody else that can bring the ball up the way he can. So that's that. As far as the season, Steve Kerr knows that this is a marathon. The season is not just 2 months. And not saying, you know, it's not time to panic, but it's really not time to panic. Everybody want to make changes. That's fine. That's what the coaches have to do. But at the same time, we're all talking about the health and the age of Curry and Draymond. Kerr knows that these guys are not going to go on forever. So I'm not saying he's purposely going games, but he has to know what he has in these other guys. These guys have to figure out how to keep a lead late in the game because Curry and Draymond's not going to be here forever. So these guys have to figure out how can they keep a lead. How do you guys stop blowing leads? How do you guys keep up the defensive intensity? Because, we're not going to always have Curry and Draymond. So, like I said, man, you know, the season is a marathon, but Steve Kerr knows that these other guys he got is the future. Well, I have to see what I have for the future.
It's interesting you say that because I think where my frustration is as I zoom out over the last couple of years, it's like, well, you say you need these guys, then why didn't you give them the leeway that Pods has been getting in the first 2 years early on? Why are we in year 4 with Kuminga and Moody, and it feels like we're just now like allowing them opportunities to play through some? I don't know.
You mentioned something earlier. There's been a log jam, Bud hung up. There's been a log jam at those positions. There's not a log jam at point guard. There's not a log jam at 2 guard right now. They need a 2 guard. They need another point guard. So that's why Pods is playing. Let's go to Coach in Vallejo. Coach, I know he's got something to say.
What's up, Coach?
I'm buckled up here.
What's up, Coach?
I'm buckled up here because I already know he's going to come with some fire.
Hey, buddy.
I already know where you're going, Coach.
Where are you going?
Tread lightly, Coach.
No, I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
Hey, all right. First of all, Bonta, if Brock Purdy had as much blocking for him as you do for Pods, you know, the 49ers records would be a lot better.
Oh,
but
you go. Here you go.
No,
hey, Coach, but hold on. Before you continue, you do know he didn't play the last 503, right?
Right, and I was getting ready to go at that, Bonta, because the first 7 minutes before that last 5 is when the Warriors lost the lead and Pods was in the game.
They opened the quarter on a 21-6 run in the 4th.
Wait a minute. Okay, now check this out. Okay, check this out. Pods, you know, you give a person a rope, they think they're a cowboy. Kerr made Pods a cowboy. He gave him the rope last year, the same way he did with Jordan Poole. Pods now thinks he's the man. Kerr told him, you're running the second unit. Pods, get out there. It's my team. He goes down court. He's pointing to the positions. He wants everybody to play. He thinks he's the man. He's in every commercial. He runs up to every microphone. He says besides he and Jaime Jaquez, besides Wemby Yamba, was the best rookies out there last year. So he put a lot of pressure on himself. Now, I know you guys you're professionals. You do your job. But, you know, I'm on a lot of social media. I'm 69 years old. I'm retired, so I can look to all the Warriors website. They're calling Pods Kerr's son, okay? And that's a bad thing. You know social media.
Coach, you know social media, man. You're 69. You need social media. It's a toxic place. All right?
Yeah, that's exactly
social media wants to fire Kyle Shanahan for crying out loud.
No. But here's the thing. That's social media. We know that. But you know who looks at that? Someone like Pods, okay? Pods look at stuff like that. Stuff like that affects Pods. He takes things personal, the same way Jordan Poole did. And there's a lot of similarity there. Remember when Poole thought he was on equal level with Steph and Clay, and he's taking a big shot and Steph throwing his mouthpiece in the stands and stuff? Pods is just that cocky, okay? And so that's why he has no problem getting up to the podium and say, well, yeah, I own this, and that, because he knows that Kerr will not bench him. Kerr will not give him a DNP. Pods knows this, and so therefore he can take responsibility.
All right, let me ask you this, Coach, because you watch Warriors every single day. So let's say if Kerr did DNP, hypothetically. It may never happen, but what if he did DNP? Where are you going to find ball handling outside of Steph and Curry? Because Stephen Curry's greatest power right now is playing off the ball.
I have an answer to that. First of all, you don't need Curly Neal to bring the ball up court in the NBA.
You need somebody to facilitate the half-court offense, right?
You know who does a pretty good job at that? Jonathan Kuminga. He does a pretty good job at that when he brings the ball up court and he's on top. He makes the good decisions. You yourself said no turnovers last night. Jonathan Kuminga threw those great passes, and people don't want to give him credit for that part of his game. Wiggins brings the ball up court well. And, these guys can do it. Kyle Anderson can do it. These guys, Buddy Hield could even do it. You do not have to be Curly Neal, point guard, on the Warriors.
But Bonta, Coach, stay on line. They had Chris Paul last year. Bonta, they had the ultimate point guard, the old school OG point guard. I mean, where did that get them?
Well, he doesn't play .5 basketball. Chris Paul was not a good fit for the system.
But their system needs to adjust to the personnel that they have.
But Chris Paul it didn't fit. It didn't work.
I kind of been with him. I think we make a little too much of the ball handling stuff.
No, it's about facilitating in the half court.
Yes, but if Steph can't move as well off ball,
that's his greatest.
to adjust.
I think he moves well off the ball. What you don't want to do is put the ball in his hands and have him facilitate all day long. There's a role for Pods on this team. Whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I think we're being too critical. Pods was balling yesterday, Coach, up until that sequence in the fourth quarter. Can you tell me that Pods wasn't balling? Sure, there were some defensive lapses. I've seen all these players make defensive lapses before. Come on now. I'm the equal opportunity employer, man. I get on everybody, Coach. Everybody. I've been Kuminga's biggest fan. Hey, Coach, have I not been Kuminga's biggest fan out here for 4 years?
Absolutely.
All right? Come on now. Let's be fair.
I'm being fair. Now, first of all, Bonta, to start off the game, there's no one on the court that Pods can guard. He can't guard other guards, so Wiggins and Kuminga have to guard the Jamal Murrays of the world.
That's what they're here for. That's what Wiggins and Kuminga's here for, is to guard Jamal Murray and the opposing weak players. That's why I don't want to trade Wiggins. That's where they're here.
But they have to guard Kyrie Irving and John Moran also.
Yes. Guess what? Klay Thompson in his prime had to guard those guys too.
But I think what he's gunning at is that when you play Curry and Pods together, that's two guys who can't guard anyone.
Oh.
What? We're having conversations.
Keep going, Coach.
We're just having conversations.
Keep going, Coach. Oh, he's gone? Why you hang up on him?
Gone for like 5 minutes.
So what? Marco, or who's on this line? Oh, I don't even know who's on the line. You got to start somewhere. Who are you going to start in that spot? Moody?
Well, no, they're in a tough spot.
Come on, man.
If you go defense with I'm just hypothetically a GP2, right? Let's say, well, now your offense is going to struggle, right? And would you say he's shooting 19% from three? GP2 currently?
17%.
17%. Okay, 17% for and he hit a three in the corner yesterday. It was a huge three. So, the problem that they have right now, and it feels like we've been saying this for a long time, is that the role players that you're asking to fulfill that two-guard role are either defensive-oriented or offensive-oriented and not a combination of the two.
Look, everybody's going crazy over the start. But
the finish.
The finish, Pods wasn't there in the fourth quarter in the finish. So you did have guys who were defending, like GP2, Wiggins, Kuminga. And guess what? You couldn't score in the last 2.5 minutes. You couldn't score. Your problem in the last 5 minutes of Christmas is you can't score. San Antonio, you wasn't just scoring. Brooklyn, you missed 14 straight shots. 14 straight shots against Brooklyn. You missed in the last 5. You're not scoring in the last 5 minutes. So when it comes to Pods, I get it. I get what people are saying about Pods. But also, Pods didn't play the last 5 minutes last night.
Yeah, I know. But every game, when you lose by a couple possessions, we go back into the second quarter and the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and there's seminal moments of runs and momentum and stuff, and people cling to them. Your point is well taken, and you're right. But people also cling to these.
54-42. Are we going to cling to the end of the first half when they give up a 15-3 run at the end of the first half?
Well, when the coach is citing a specific play in the second quarter where Pods turns the ball over, yeah, I think people are gonna cling to that.
We're going to cling to the 8 turnovers in the third quarter and Steph Curry committing 4 of those turnovers.
But Steph,
we're going to cling to that.
But Bonta,
I get Steph is Steph.
It's like Tom Brady throws a game-losing interception.
We're sitting here talking about starts, right? Who's starting it? Because we're so fixated on starting. The Warriors were up midway through the first quarter. They were up in that game midway through the first quarter. They're up 20-16. They're up 20-16. So slow start. They didn't have that last night with the first 5.
No.
And Pods was on the floor.
But this isn't a individual isolated thing with Pods. I think this is more big picture of the first couple months or whatever, 2 months or so.
It was all kumbaya the first 10 games.
Well, they were winning.
It was all kumbaya when they were 12-3.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, wow, we got rid of the cancers last year.
Buddy Hield.
We got rid of Buddy Hield. I don't hear much about Buddy Buckets no more, and I like Buddy Buckets. But it's also disrespectful the way we kicked Klay Thompson out the door, and I'll stand on that. Alex in Atlanta, let's go.
All right, guys, let's go through the checklist really quick. You got no secondary scoring option behind Steph. You still got a problem with size in the interior, which leads to overhelping on defense, which leads to bad perimeter defense. You're giving up a lot of threes. You don't have a primary ball handler in the second unit right now. You don't have a consistent closing lineup, which hurt them a lot last year. It seems like it's hurting them again this year. It just feels like all the problems they had last season, they didn't manage to address many of them, if any of them. I know they shipped off Klay Thompson. I agree with you, Bonta. I don't think they did right by Klay in that regard. But at the same time, they tried to get more athletic. They tried to get some better bench scoring, but I don't think they really solved any of their problems, and it's coming home to roost right now. I know they started 12-3. Everybody was happy then because, to Joe's point, they were winning. I'm not going to throw Brandon Podziemski completely under the bus, but I am going to call out Steve Kerr for having this strange obsession with wanting to play Pods 25 to 30 minutes a night when you're just letting guys like Moses Moody wilt on the bench, not giving him an opportunity. He was balling last night himself. I thought he played a better game than Brandon Podziemski throughout that game. But the point I'm trying to make is that it seems like they're the same team as they were last year. They've just moved some pieces around, but all the same problems are there. And I don't think they're going to progress forward in any meaningful way until they address those. And I don't know how you do that unless, to Joe's point, you tweak the system to better accommodate what you have.
I agree. I thought down the stretch, good call, Alex. We tweet quotes about our shows or content, but Coach Yak gets it, and he quotes us, or he gives us, I guess, he at Morning Roast, and he does numbers. So shout out to Coach Yak.
Well, what
always listening to the show.
Quote tweet?
Mike Florio, his thoughts about the Bears trading for Kyle Shanahan. Well, that's an old one, actually. That's an old one. Oh, here's a minute ago. Mike Florio. I keep seeing people talk about Brock Purdy possibly making blah, 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 blah. So he quote tweeted that one.
Oh,
but
nice.
No credit there. So anyway.
Look, just hear me out. I will get back into the Warriors here.
We got a couple calls on the Niners because I think the Niner fans got something to say.
Well, on the real, like, this is the way I view things. And again, sports is different, but there are parallels to real life. Okay. When you go buy a house in St. Francis Woods, okay, and it's 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, and it's got an indoor pool or whatever. I don't even know if there is a home like that.
About $4 million.
Yeah, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. When, you move out to, let's just say, Stockton, okay, and I'm just using that as an example.
Stockton, 15 minutes away from Lathrop, River Islands.
Okay. All right, well, then let's say Merced. Okay, you move out to Merced off of 99, okay? The home prices aren't going to be exactly the same. And so just because a new house goes up for sale doesn't mean that it immediately becomes market value. We do comps, and we ask, like, all right, who are you as good as? How big are you? Do I need to redo the roof? Like, we start comparing and contrasting. And what was the market one day doesn't necessarily mean it's the market today. You see this with condos all the time. Brand new condo goes up, and these old condos that just sold for $1 million get slashed in price because something bigger and better is around the corner. So I view the quarterback market kind of similarly, and it's like, all right, so I get that everybody else is paying $60 million for their quarterback.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
That doesn't mean I have to. And who are you bidding against?
Well, one, we don't know because we don't have the inside information.
Sure.
We're not privy to that intel. We don't know if anybody else was looking at Tua Tagovailoa or any of these guys. But I am eager to know who would want Brock Purdy as their starting quarterback if the Niners decided, we're not going to give you 60. Like Josh Allen, as you just mentioned, he's making 43 this year. Damn.
28 teams would line up and give him $60 million?
They'd probably give him $80 million.
Oh, okay.
Just to have Josh Allen.
Sure.
Because you could build.
Yeah.
And we saw the difference.
We agree.
Josh Allen's that guy.
Yeah.
Mahomes is that guy.
Right? Like Dak Prescott, great example.
Yeah.
Do I believe there'd be a team out there that would pay him what Dallas is going to pay him in the next couple of years? Yeah, sure, there probably would be. One or two of those teams.
Yeah.
But don't we all view that as like, damn, that is a huge overpay for Dak?
Especially for a guy for a team that's struggling, that hasn't been into a conference championship since 1995. And they're going to go all in when you've basically kind of missiled him along the way, saying, yeah, we're not sure you're our future. You've done it for 3 years.
Just because you're good making $4 million or $5 million, and I could spread the money around to the other positions, doesn't mean you're going to be as good or better when I start paying you $50 million and these other positions lesser. And I think that's the equation that the Niners are going to. Brock's a good player. But how does it change? And this goes back to the Shanahan cut. How does it change how you build your team around them with the puzzle pieces when he's making $40 million, when he's making $60 million, when he's making $1 million? It dramatically changes what you can afford around a player.
It does. Here's how Kawakami on Willard Dibbs. Here's how. Here it is right here. Purdy, quarterback of the future, as long as Shanahan is a head coach. Really?
He's a long-term answer if Kyle Shanahan's your long-term coach. Now, if there are any questions about that in Jed York's mind, maybe you back off a Purdy deal at this moment. I don't think he has those questions, and I don't think he has those questions about Brock Purdy either. It's just saying, if you're going to a new coach in a year, then maybe you're not so committed to paying Brock Purdy $55 million a year off into the next, 6 years. I don't think that's the way this was going to go. I think this is going to be Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy into 2025, if you are committed to that. And if you're not, then you're talking about a rebuild. And I don't know if you want to tell that to Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner, and everyone else. Then you're going to go in it with a long-term deal, every intent, I guess, for a long-term deal for Brock Purdy. And then you go into 2025 knowing who you got your quarterback. And I think they want to feel that way.
Knowing who Mike Shanahan was and knowing who Kyle Shanahan was. So thinking about Mike, right? And now that Brian Greasy's on the staff, I want to know how he felt about Mike. Because I was a kid. I was 20, 21 years old when Brian Greasy was playing quarterback for the Denver Broncos. We watched him win the national championship with Michigan and Washington State.
I
loved Brian Greasy.
Me too. I liked him as a player.
But he ended up in Miami, and Mike gave up on him for whatever reason. Now, I don't really remember. I wasn't covering the Broncos, wasn't privy to that intel. I don't know. But he gave up on him. Then he signed Jay Cutler, and he gave up on him. And then he drafted Jay Cutler. And then he was fired, basically. Are we sure the Shanahans are married to Brock Purdy? Like, we've seen these guys, like RG3. RG3 now, they say the owner wanted to draft RG3, so they drafted RG3. They drafted Kirk Cousins in the fourth round of that year. But Kirk Cousins played more for Sean McVay than he ever did for the Shanahans. But they were eager to say, yeah, we will go with Kirk Cousins. We got to change our old style for RG3. Either they're going to be a zone read, RPO type of quarterback, or we have Kirk Cousins waiting the weeks because we think he can run our system better than you. Are we sure Kyle's married to Brock Purdy?
Well,
that's the biggest thing I keep going back to. Are we sure Kyle? He gave us the hint before training camp that it's different when you give a quarterback all this money on how you build a team.
Kind of ironic, the two guys we associate with having interchangeable running backs, actually, it's more interchangeable quarterbacks.
No, they interchangeable anything.
Well, no, I know.
That's what they do.
But, we've never really viewed it as quarterback. Yeah. It felt like, to me, watching the game, I could sense Kyle knew that they were limited offensively, and they kept going back to the screen game.
They ran 7 screens. 7 screen passes, which is the most in the NFL this weekend. 7 screens.
If you would have told me it was 27 screens, I would have believed you. But I got the sense he didn't really trust his offense, his quarterback, whatever. However you want to, whatever bucket you want to put it in. I just didn't think he had any trust in them, and I could see the frustration growing on him for X, Y, and Z reasons. I don't know, man. I think these next couple of weeks for Purdy are absolutely humongous.
I think they're critical.
I think
and you're playing a tough defense against Chicago. And what does it look like if Caleb Williams walks in here at Levi Stadium and outplays Brock Purdy?
Well, it would be another really good player just shoving him to the ground and making him not look as good as them.
This is a monster game. And you know what I could see what's happening? You know what I could see for the 49ers? Hey, no validity to this whatsoever. My gut feeling, my big old gut that holds a lot of carbs and everything like that. Brock Purdy struggles against Chicago. I can see them looking at the shoulder, looking at the elbow.
Shutting him down.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
So there's not more tape out on Brock Purdy to see how he's struggling because the last whatever handful of games, ever since Baltimore, it has been a little inconsistent with Brock Purdy. And I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I want people to listen carefully.
No, he's good.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback, and I have no problem walking into 2025 with Brock Purdy as my quarterback. But does Kyle feel like that.
Here's the analogy I would say. Premium price tags, you just don't hand out to good players.
No.
This is where I think it gets very difficult. Look at the NBA structure right now, right? Kuminga wanted a premium price tag. I like Kuminga. He's not a premium player just yet. They gave a premium contract at the time to Jordan Poole, and he wasn't. And he was a good player. He's a very good player.
Now, don't forget he played for $3 million that last year with the Warriors.
I know. I'm saying that the contract he was given moving forward.
They were projecting.
They gave a premium contract to Brandon Ayuk and almost immediately regretted it. They gave a premium contract to Nick Bosa, and I'm kind of feeling like all parties are regretting the situation. You know, like very few times has the premium contract worked out for them. So all I'm saying is this. Forget like, how much is... Let's just take our time. Let's slow this down. At one point, I wanted to get it done immediately after the offseason. Now I'm saying,
no,
I don't know about that.
No, I'm waiting on that.
I'm kind of reconsidering my aggression on how quickly I want this done.
How are Niner fans feeling?
I think time is on your side, Niners.
How are Niner fans feeling like this? 888-957-9570. Would you even consider trading Kyle Shanahan to another team? Would you really, as coach?
Let's
and then who would you hire?
Let's play this out.
You would really want to hire Belichick after what transpired? I heard everybody, the personnel guy, but the head coach as well. The head coach as well.
If I told you right now that Purdy, let's just say hypothetically, he wants 50. Okay, this is the math that I'm doing in my head. He wants 50. Okay, all right. Well, what's Russell Wilson going to sign with in the offseason? Does he want 25? What does Kirk want? Does he want 15? All right, now is Purdy $35 million better than Kirk Cousins? Because that's the equation Shanahan's going to make.
I don't know if he is.
Is he $25 million per year better than Russell Wilson currently? Not is he better. Yes, I think he's better than both those guys by a long shot. But is he $35 million better than one of those guys? Though that's the math equation that I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm looking at...
What is Darnold going to make?
Well, I'm looking at the coaching staff and would they want to bring Darnold back?
Exactly.
Would they want to bring Darnold back? I'm looking at these cap hits here. And Javon Hargrave's on the books for $28 million next year, $29.8 in 2026. It's bad business right
I mean,
now.
is he $25 million better than Malik Collins?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Fred Warner's going to hit his $29 million next year. I don't think anybody has a problem playing Fred. He's a 3-down linebacker. Debo Samuel's on the book for $28 million. I don't think. Trent Williams, $21.9. Then Trent Williams in 2026. He's making $39 million. That's the cap hit.
That's the most absurd.
I don't want to crush Trent Williams. He's going through a lot right now.
$39 million.
He's going through a lot right now.
No doubt. But that's a lot of money.
Nick Bosa, 20 and then 42, 52 and then 42. It's a lot of money. And you know what? Bosa, Debo, they've all underwhelmed since they got their money. They have. Those are the facts. They have underwhelmed.